this is going to change things. uh, this is going to change, and I feel like there's a big role on me, big responsibility on me. My son, uh, dying there, passing away there. I'm not the same Kamel 4 days ago. No, everything has changed.
20-year-old American Saifullah Masalat was visiting his family in the West Bank, and on Friday, July 11th, Israeli settlers brutalized him, beating him unconscious and blocking an ambulance from reaching him. The young Palestinian American was pronounced dead by the time he arrived at the hospital. The settlers also killed another young Palestinian, Mohammed al-Shalabi. Al-Shalabi was shot and also left bleeding for hours. Today, in wake of yet another vicious episode of Israeli settler violence, we are joined by Sefallah's father, Kamal. Kamal, firstly, thank you so much for sharing your time with us. We share our deepest condolences and our spirits with you.
Thank you for having me, Prem. We appreciate that.
So perhaps you could walk us firstly through what you know about what happened that day when Saif was taken from us.
What I know what happened is that Saifullah and some of his friends were at the site. The site is called Jabal al Batin, which means Batin Mountain. It's part of the, how Israel has divided the Palestinian lands in A, B, and C. So Batin is A and partial B's. And so under their law, it's Palestinian land, Palestinian ruled land. It has nothing to do with Israeli um, land. That's sea is basically Israel. Some Palestinian. No, this is Palestinian land. It's our land. It's part of our village, but it's across the mountain. It's like across the street, which that street is actually a Jewish street, basically used for settlers. So they were there. There's been constant violence for the past 2 months. People coming in, settlers coming there with burning trees, burning houses. There's these little houses, kind of. It's like a retreat. People go for barbecues. So it's across the mountain. It's like even though we're a village, but it's a place that you go and just hang out with friends, make barbecues and things like that. So they were in that area, but there's been violence for the past 2 months. There's been burning trees. The settlers have been going there um, constantly, and they're putting posts now. They're trying to they're trying to steal the land, basically, just like they always do. They're trying to steal the land. They're trying to scare the Palestinians from coming to their land. So eventually, we kind of never go there because we know that there's settlers causing problems. And so they were there. They didn't even know that there were settlers there. Then they realized that the settlers were there. Settlers seen them, um, and there was many groups. Like I told you, since they've been coming, we kind of go there for a presence, be there, let them know that these are our lands. Why should we be afraid to go to our own land? Um, Settlers, they saw my son. They saw a group of other friends. Um, uh, the friends started splitting up, running away, afraid of this violence because most of the times they do carry weapons. They do carry guns, sticks, bats, and so forth. Um, the friends told me that they were running, um, and and Saifullah, we call him Saif for short. Um, he got hit, um, and then he was basically tortured, beating, constantly beating. And I seen the marks on his body, um, but he was still breathing. I don't know if they left him because uh, they were afraid that other people came and then, so they can run away. But then he was unconscious, but he was still breathing. He was still breathing. His friends told me that he was still bleeding. When they got back to him, they seen him. He was still breathing. When they got back to him, they seen him breathing. Um, these are young kids. They don't know the degree of what really happened. They didn't know that the hard breathing that he was doing, he was actually in a state of uh, he was dying. He was dying. And he stayed in that state for 2 hours. And why did he stay in that state for 2 hours? Because the ambulance, any emergency help, was prevented from getting to him because they didn't have, in Arabic they call tansiq, which means basically that you have to get approval to go and reach the victim. To reach anybody that's hurt, you have to get approval because the Israeli army put a jeep and soldiers in front. Safe is basically in the middle, and there's settlers in the back. So people are afraid to come and try to get them because they're afraid of the settlers. And in the front, the Israeli army was preventing anybody from getting there. All they had to do was allow help to get to Saifullah. He was there for 3 hours. His friends were around him. Uh, they didn't know what to do. They wanted to carry him. They tried to carry him, but they didn't know where to go because they're afraid of the settlers. They're hiding at the same time. One of his friends said that he went next to him. He just started hugging my son and and thinking that he was gonna die. And he was in Arabic. He was basically giving the proclamation of there's no God but God and that Muhammad is his messenger, because thinking that he's gonna be a martyr at that moment. But they said that some settlers were passing and they didn't see them, so it was like a miracle that happened. A settler passed under, because it's this mountain is like stages. It's basically lines of lands, and each one, so you can be under and you can't see the top, but in the top you can see under. So for 2.5 hours, 3 hours, um, he was in that state. My other son is 18 years old. When he finally found out where he was exactly, he just took the chance. He crossed the street. He told me it took, like, I don't know, 35, 40 minutes, ran, didn't care that there was Israeli soldiers. He didn't care that there was settlers. He took the risk. He went with another friend. They got to safe. Finally, after all the time, after 2.5 hours, 3 hours, they approved for the emergency help. They approved for the ambulance to go get my son. But this is a mountainous areas. Once the approval came, the ambulance can drive only so far. So after the ambulance got to the area that they can drive to, um, um, they took safe on the carriage. They were able to, take down the carriage to safe from the ambulance. They walked back to safe, took safe back to the ambulance. But on the way to the ambulance, they told me, my son said, I seen his last breath. It's his brother. And he didn't tell me on the phone when I called him. He just started telling me. I told him, how is he? How is he? How is he? He said, Inshallah, he's good. He's good. He's good. Or like, but I can tell in his voice that it was already too late. He passed before he got to the hospital. He passed even before he went into the ambulance. The ambulance tried CPR and tried to bring back his heart, tried to bring back his breath, but it was too late. And I honestly believe what prevented, what caused what the main cause of death after the brutal beating, after the basically torture that my son went through, was the the blockage of any medical help getting to him.
Hmm.
you know.
Um,
And then they took him to the hospital, and they pronounced him dead. And I just had a feeling. I knew when from the voice of how my son told me that I knew it was late. It was too late. I actually called my son's phone. Uh, I was worried because I just got these messages: safe is missing, then safe is found, but he's just breathing different. So I called them, but they wouldn't put the phone. They wouldn't give him the phone because he was out of
yeah,
it.
right.
And and I didn't hear him. It was just like, man, like why is his friends not giving him the phone?
Yeah,
And I don't know. Sometimes a father or a mother, they,
yeah,
you feel something that something's wrong.
yeah,
And then he gave me the news, and you know, it was hard, man. It's just eh, no father wants to see. No father ever wants to put their son in the ground. You're always imagining. You're always imagining it your whole life that your sons are going to put you in the ground, and you accept that. You're going to die. Everybody dies, and then there's going to be a funeral, and your kids are going to put you in the ground, and that's how you always imagine things. And but it was the opposite way this time.
yeah.
And I was in America. I don't know if you knew that. I was in the States at that
Right.
moment. Safe came to visit his mom and dad. I mean, his mom and sisters. Actually, mom and dad. I was here when he first got here. So
Yeah.
we spent
You
Eid
guys switched
together.
places?
Yeah, yeah. We spent Eid together. Me, him, his mom, and he has two
Yeah.
other brothers and a sister here. His younger brother is only 5 years old. He's 21.
Yeah.
And I have a 15-year-old daughter and an 18-year-old boy. So we spent some time together. And then I had to go back to take care of the business.
Yeah.
And I told him, okay, you can stay, a little bit longer, and I'll go take your place. So I was in the States this whole time, and it was devastating. I was just happy
Yeah.
that I was able to make the funeral. I was able to find a
Yeah.
ticket.
Yeah.
That was a great blessing that happened. You know.
Yeah. And I know I want to talk a lot more about the funeral in a minute. I'm curious, in the immediate aftermath when he was beaten and his friends and others had said he was still breathing, do you know at that point in that sort of interim period, did he have consciousness? Did he say anything to his friends, or did your younger son note him ever saying anything after
Nothing,
the beating?
nothing. Yeah, they told me after the beating, um, only mumbling sounds. That's why, when my younger son told me, he said no, there was no words, nothing at all.
Hmm.
So the severity of this beating, what did it, what it caused, uh, was tremendous. There was nothing. He couldn't breathe. He was very hard breathing. And another thing, there's no water access around. It's a mountain. So they couldn't get water to him. They couldn't get medical help to him. And no, he didn't say nothing. He was completely out of it. Breathing, but out of it.
Yeah.
His friends were actually at my house just like 20, 30 minutes ago. They wanted
Hmm.
to visit the mother of Saif, to give her condolences, and uh, and I just wanted to know more. Like, did he talk? Just like you asked me right now.
Yeah.
And they said no, he was out of it.
Mm.
They just didn't know the severity of what was going to
Yeah.
happen because they didn't imagine that it's going to take that long to get help.
Right. Yeah. And you mentioned that
Yeah.
the Israeli military had a presence there that was helping prevent him from being taken care of. What has the Israeli response been since then?
There's been no response. They just called, said, "Can you give us the health reports?" I told them, the health reports don't come out in 30 minutes. They told me, I told them, my son's in the ground. I don't know if you guys know that, and we're waiting for the health reports from the hospital. And then they said, and that was it. And they just shut the phone, and no other thing. They did not give me any information. They did not say, they said, okay, we're gonna do an investigation. What kind of investigation? what other international organization is going to get into the investigation? Which Prim, I think you know more than that. They don't even allow that. And I'm waiting for some other response from them, maybe even a phone call, and anything. But there's been nothing. There's been
Hmm.
nothing. They haven't even. They only contacted me that one time to say, okay, WhatsApp us, send us the health reports on WhatsApp whenever you get it, and that was it.
Okay.
Nothing else.
And
And so far at this moment, the U.S. consulate has contacted me the first day just to give me condolences. They said that they would come by in 2 or 3 days because they know that the first 3 days is. I'm thinking, that's not why they told me, but they said we'll meet you in 2 or 3 days, and we'll talk. But there's been nothing, zero prem coming from any State Department, any Florida district, any Florida representatives. He's a Floridian. His license is Florida. He's a U.S. citizen. At this moment, so far, I have not been contacted by anyone from the U.S. government. I have not been contacted by anyone from the Florida representatives, from the U.S. Senate, or nothing. The consulate called me. They told me, they gave me condolences. They told me they would be contacting me in a few days and coming by. But from the USA, any Florida representative, anything like that, I haven't been contacted, not through email or not through phone calls.
wow, wow.
Yeah,
So
I'm surprised. I didn't think. So I feel that there's this what is the word? Basically differentiating between an American Palestinian and an American Israeli. I
mm,
honestly, deeply, not only know that if this was an Israeli American, that they would be on top of their things. They would be there. They would be contacting them, the representatives, the government. But because he's Palestinian American, I feel that we don't have the same standards. It's a double standard.
yeah,
This side one way, another way. Just
yeah,
two different worlds. This is the way I feel, and I think many people feel that.
yeah, yeah. I'm curious, in the past, when the Israeli government has committed humanitarian violations, and war crimes and the like, including against Americans, there have been initial sort of overtures towards an investigation, all for over the course of weeks and months, for the US, if they respond, to eventually say, we're working with our partners in Israel, we are deferring to our partners in Israel. And of course, as you mentioned, in part, the Israeli military has a role here in terms of the fact that they were there. They
Yeah,
were part of who was obstructing him from being taken on an ambulance.
that,
So how do you
that,
sort
that,
of navigate this
that, that's
feeling?
how. That's what I'm feeling like. Why are they preventing us from getting to our hurt, or anybody that's been injured, anybody that's been beaten? Like, why are they not preventing them from doing this? Like, why are they not going? So they're in the middle. I mean, they're in the front. We're in the middle, and the settlers are in the back. Like, why are they not moving them back? And pushing them
Mhm.
away? Why are they not permanently removing them and not letting them ever come? This is not their land. This is area A, this is area B, this is areas that they're not allowed to be there. They're trying to steal this land. Why are they not preventing them from doing this? Why are they not preventing this Israeli settler violence that is continuing and continuing? And it's outrageous because it's only been increasing, and you've watched in the media, you've seen what's going on. It's just an increasing. They have these groups, I think maybe like WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups, so that they just send these messages, viral messages, and they get all together, and then they come, and then they say meeting point is here, and then boom, start the violence, start assaulting, putting tents in land that's not theirs. putting like stoves, wanting to live there, basically. So it's just, why are they not preventing that from happening?
So, in essence, I guess I wonder how deep is your ask to the US government to themselves respond to this and to not simply defer to the Israeli government?
I deeply request. I feel he's an American. Like uh, Trump says, America first. Like, so he's an American. So why are you not putting America first? An American has been killed by Israeli um, violence, Israeli settler violence, Israeli settler. Uh, it might be my opinion, but I call it Israeli settler terrorism. Basically, they're terrorizing. When you burn trees, when you burn houses, when you just you know just kill, and and yeah, the violence is just extreme. It's just extreme. They're torturing. They're anybody that they can grab their hands on, any kid that they can grab their hands on, they torture them. They torture them, Prem, and it's devastating. And U.S. government has not done nothing. And it's time after time after time. You've seen it in the past 2 years. Between 7 or 9 U.S. American citizen Palestinians have been killed, and justice to zero. When does it stop? When does it stop?
Yeah.
You know, like, why are you not putting any pressure on them? Why are you not putting what is the word, Prem? Sanctions. Like, you're removing sanctions. They had
Mm.
sanctions, and then now they remove the sanctions off the settlers instead of adding more, and doing something about it. Like, why are these people not accountable? Why are they not going to jail? Why can they just do what they want to do anytime they want to do? It just doesn't make sense, Prem. It just doesn't make sense. I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
It's
I
hard to fathom.
understand. Yeah, absolutely. I understand that there was a funeral in honor of Saif and a very massive turnout of people since then sharing their thoughts, their condolences with you. What has all of that been like?
It's been something that uh, unimaginable, to be honest with you. The amount of people, the amount of love that's been showing is it shows who these two people were that were killed. It's these two great people, they were loved by everyone, and they always had smiles on them. Muhammad Shalabi, Saifullah Musalat, were two people that were loved. His friends were just here, just like I told you about an hour ago, and they were just telling me how much they all loved them. And then they were telling me, and they said, it's not in front of your face. They call me Abu Saif, the father of Saif. Uh, he was the best one out of all of us. And but I seen it with the amount of people that are at the funeral, and you've seen the funeral online probably. And now we have 3 days of it's called a condolence house, basically, and it needed to be in such a massive area that we did it at the school, which thousands of people are just pouring in every day, every day. It's actually been overwhelming with how much people are coming and telling me how much
Yeah.
they're they're proud of they're proud of Saif, and they're proud of Muhammad. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I'd like to talk a bit about Saif as a person. It seems like, as you mentioned, of course, there's a huge amount of turnout for people that were sharing their condolences and solidarity, but it also seems like a lot of people sharing their love for him as a person. So I'm wondering if you could tell us a bit about what he was like, what he spent his time doing. I understand he helped run the family ice cream shop.
Yeah, it's actually it's actually for him. We helped set it up for him and his cousin. So they're two cousins. Their mothers are sisters, and they basically run the store. And the customers are just falling in love with them. Like the reviews that we're getting, if when I read and when I'm here, and it's like customer service was great. Customer service was great. These guys are awesome. Go to them. The, they write some of these comments. It says food was great, but the service was out of this world, and they love their customers. They just I taught them, you just got to be nice to people, and he was genuine. Like people would be coming in there, and and the amount, like I'm trying to keep up, but with all this is going on, I go to that Instagram page and I'm seeing all the amount of messages that are pouring in. Sorry for your loss, sorry for your loss. He was a great person, he was a great person, he was a great person. It's even letting me know more of how great he was. I didn't even realize how great he was until now.
Mm.
He was just a good, loving, caring, just a normal 20-year-old man.
Yeah.
Uh, he's just take a selfie here and there. It's just a normal kid that just wanted life. And to be honest with you, the last phone call that we had uh, was actually him. You know, he said, "Dad, I think it's time for me to try to find a spouse." Uh, so it shows that he's looking for life. I told him, I think you're still young, but he turns 21 uh, later this month, and he said, "No, no, I think it's time. I think it's time." So it shows the amount of he's looking for life. He's loving life, and but they took it away that day on that Friday.
Yeah. Yeah.
They took it away.
So where did Saif grow up, and what was he like when he was younger?
He was a joyful kid. It was a lot to handle. He's very just jumping everywhere. He grew up in Port Charlotte, Florida. That's where he was born. And he stayed there till he was in third grade. After third grade, we moved back to, or we moved, no, it's not back, we moved him and his younger brother. We feel like it's always good to have an attachment to, where your father's from. And you learn the language, culture, and so forth. And, there was nothing going on like with this settler violence during that time. So he grew up here. He graduated high school here. Most of his friends are from here, but where we live, most of the people are also dual citizens in our village. So it's basically your friends are here, but you'll see them in the States also.
Hmm.
So his friends are here and there. But they all grew up here, and they all went to school here. They all went to school together, and that's where he grew up. So he grew up as a young kid in the States. Then between like third grade and 12th grade, in Palestine in the West Bank. Then he moved back to the States. There's not too many financial opportunities here, especially in the West Bank, compared to the USA. So we opened him up the store for him and his cousins, and he started work. And like I told you before, it's just the amount of all that's pouring in from these messages. It's just like, man, really? Like he was that loved by these customers, and I can tell they're heartbroken, man. They're heartbroken.
Yeah.
Some of them would come. Honestly, Prem, they would come 2 to 3 times a week, uh, over and over and over, like because they just love the service that they're getting from them. It's just that's how they would. They're just genuinely nice kids, man.
Yeah.
Loving children, always smiling.
Yeah.
And you've seen the pictures, so it's like you can tell, like he's full of love. He's full of love,
Yeah.
man. He'll be missed. He'll be missed by everyone here, and he'll be mostly missed by me and his mother.
Yeah. Are there any memories of Safe, even small ones, that have kind of stuck with you, or any parts of him that you would like him to be remembered by?
Um, just his, just be him being genuine, man. Just like, uh, just just hanging out, with us, always joking, making everybody laugh. He was just always being just joking around, making people laugh, and everybody loved Safe's presence. And his aunt was telling me today, man. She said, "I'm just gonna miss him always, make it, joking around with us and making us laugh."
Yeah,
That's basically, let him be remembered by that. Genuine kid that just wanted, lived life, as it is.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But he was, he wanted to be an entrepreneur. He said, like
Hmm.
not only this, I'm gonna do more. I'm doing more. I gotta do more. I gotta, do a lot of businesses. I want to be an
Hmm.
entrepreneur. Yeah.
It's pretty remarkable for a 20-year-old to throw himself into an ice cream store like that. That's
Yeah, yeah,
that's no
yeah,
small
yeah. Well,
thing.
he had some help.
Sure, of course, of course, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah,
But
yeah,
as you say, it
yeah,
seems like he really delivered.
yeah. He did. He did. He did.
Are there, I know that, I mean, your past 72 hours, I can only imagine from you having to travel over there to see what you saw, to navigate so much all at once, so many question marks, the hundreds of people that you've commiserated with, but also grieved with. I wonder, I know it's still early, but are there any messages or thoughts you'd like to share with people around the world who are hearing this, hearing you, or grieving with you? Anything you'd like to tell them or share with them?
I basically have, my main message is that the Israeli settler violence needs to stop, and somehow, maybe with international pressure, definitely as as a Palestinian American Palestinian that was killed, U.S. government, U.S. Senate, U.S. representatives, they need to do something to pressure the Israeli government to do something to stop it permanently. You know, this is land that they're not allowed to be on, according to them. According to their law. They are not allowed to be there. It needs to stop. It needs to end. It's only increasing, and that is the message that I leave to the world. That we need to find a way somehow, by the U.S., by international pressure, by international organizations, by peace organizations, to make this completely stop. And that's my main message to the world,
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
we've had enough. We've had enough. We've had enough people dying. We've had enough fathers burying their sons and mothers grieving. We just had
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will just add, just from my own perspective here, as you've mentioned, there have been 7 Americans who've been killed by Israeli forces or settlers in Palestine and Lebanon in the past 21 months. And of course, that is just the Americans we're talking about. That's not the
Yeah,
thousands of
yeah, yeah.
Palestinians and people in Lebanon and so forth. And I think back to other conversations we've had just like this of people such as yourself with such formidable spirits, with such warm, beautiful memories that you've had to, on one hand, say goodbye to and at the same time cherish and so kindly share with us. And your words ring as true as they did when people just like you said them before. And I just want to say that we're so sorry that you now have to share them with us too. But we really appreciate that you chose to take the time and fortitude to share this with us, because I can only imagine the world of hurt you're navigating. And I do think that Safe is very evidently fortunate to have a spokesperson like yourself to keep his honor and name present, and I know we will be doing just the same. So, Camilo, thank you so much for sharing your time with us. Truly,
Thank you for letting me share my time. Thank you. I appreciate it, and I hope the world hears the message. I hope the world hears the message. Thank you.
We'll make sure they do.